Bear down, Bears fans. Another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the designer, Jason McKie. He's in the locker room, ladies and gentlemen, or at least that's what he's going to sell you on. Hey, man, we got a lot to get into on today's episode. Listen, the offensive line continues to be the topic of conversation. We got to get an expert's opinion on what we saw there. Of course, Jason McKie, former fullback for the Chicago Bears. He's watched some tape, ladies and gentlemen. He knows what he's talking about. And so want to get his idea and his breakdown of how the Bears can fix some of the problems that they do have up front. All that and more today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. J Mack, what's going on, man? How's the world of high school football treating you right now?
It's good, man. Another work day today. Had a good day of practice yesterday. Got a tough opponent, undefeated opponent. They're 3-0. Not going to say the team's name. Don't give them no credit on our podcast, but we'll see them on Friday. So I'm excited at the opportunity to get back out there. Won a close game last week against another tough opponent. So every week in the Catholic Conference and here in Chicagoland, it's like a playoff game, playoff atmosphere. So our kids have stepped up to the challenge and we'll be ready on Friday. So, excited about this Bears game as well. We'll be out there in Indy on the sideline, taking it all in, just like I did down there in Houston. Houston was great to me, except for the game, but that's another story. But we got to talk about it. That's why we're here.
Talk about it. What difference in cities there? What's there to do in Indy? Because I feel like it's a lot different than Houston.
Man, the times I've been to Indy, I haven't really done a lot. I mean, I've been there for the combine. Had an opportunity to actually. The funny thing is, Chris Ballard, who's the GM for the Indianapolis Colts, he was a part of player personnel for the Bears for a long time. Also,
everybody knows that, J Mack. We all remember how that story played out.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to use a real good guy, a real good friend of mine. So when I first retired, I started scouting a little bit and had an opportunity to go to Indy and watch the combine, in the Colts suite when he got there. So most times in Indy, it's just been, stuff like that, combine or, going to a game or something like that.
Well, we got an important game coming up now because Bears 1-1 in another game where offensively it just did not look good. I mean, listen, defensively, you saw some really good things. I think that it will keep you in a lot of these games. But and I got the numbers here, J Mack. I mean, when you look at what Caleb Williams is going through, and me and you talked about this in the offseason, and I think people kind of took it as just they want to keep Justin Fields because they think that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. We understood where your limitations were coming from with him, but we also understood what the limitations of your team were. And it seems like those limitations continue to play out now with Caleb Williams at the helm, who you can't make the excuse anymore of the quarterback's not getting the ball out quick enough. He's the 8th fastest time in the NFL right now getting the football out. He was the 6th fastest time on Sunday when he was under the most duress that he's been under. I mean, listen, dare I say probably in his football career. I know that he's had some bad days at USC, but I don't remember a 7-sack day. But through 2 games, he's been sacked 9 times. 42 pressures have been allowed in totality on 66 dropbacks. Yeah. First off, the fact that he's dropped back 66 times in 2 games, that's a whole nother thing. But on 66 dropbacks, he's been pressured on 48% of them, and that is with the 6th highest or quickest release in the NFL. So basically he's going set hut. Jesus Christ, I got to get this thing out of here. Mm-hmm. And now the blueprint is kind of laid there, J Mack. Yeah. You know that the teams moving forward are going to say the middle of this line seems like it's as Shaq would say, barbecue chicken, and we're going to attack the middle of this line.
Yeah.
How do you go about fixing something like this when you have an opponent coming up, even though DeForest Buckner will not be on the field? But
thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. But when you have an opponent who knows where you're weakest at and how to attack that weakness.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? Going back, you talk about all those stats, right? And, going into the season, that defenses are going to test a rookie quarterback in terms of bringing pressure. We're going to challenge him. We're going to see what he knows. We're going to see how fast he can go through his progressions. We're going to see if he can beat the blitz. And, we saw in the Titans game, obviously we saw the Texans game, and we've had issues there, right? Yeah. Because of the offensive line. And there are some times where, Caleb has done a good job of beating the blitz. You look at the first drive in the Texans game, that ball was coming out quick. The offense was in rhythm. And then, they made the Texans made halftime adjustments, and we saw what we saw. So, in terms of when you say fixing the offensive line, right, we have who we have. And we knew that this was a question mark going into the season. Ryan Poles, he brought in some guys and stuff like that. But we've always said that, did he really fix the offensive line, or did he just try to put a Band-Aid on it, right? By bringing in guys that had starting experience, but are they factors, right? When have we really had or brought in a guy, a blue chip offensive lineman that's really a factor, right? That's had a history of being a playmaker, right? That's had a history of being a dog on the offensive line. We haven't really done that. Like, we addressed it by drafting Darnell Wright with the 10th pick, but we haven't done that. So, you knew this was going to be a problem, and you look at the offensive line in the first half, right? They didn't play that bad the first half. Even Nate Davis, he didn't play that bad the first half, right? Yeah. The second half is when everything kind of unraveled, right? And what happened was Houston realized, and we have a great head coach who's also a defensive mind, who's also a great defensive coordinator, and D'Amico Ryans, he said, you know what? They have problems picking up stunts and twists, right? That's what we saw over and over and over again. We saw stunts and twists, right? We saw those defensive ends, Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter line up in wide nines, right? And they ran a lot of twists with the tackles. And we couldn't pick it up because the guards couldn't pick it up. We've seen Coleman Shelton time and time again have trouble picking up stunts. And then here's the thing. When we do pick it up, right, we're out physical, right? We see Coleman Shelton, right? When he does, lock in and actually understand who he has in protection, right? And he tries to anchor down on a bull rush, he just physically outmatched. He gets drove into the quarterback. So you talk about how do you fix the offensive line, right? Coach Morgan, I know he has those guys understanding their assignments. They just got to go out there and execute them. But at the same time, you're going to get out physical on some plays. But right now, we're being out physical each and every game.
And I think my concern with that, J Mack, is it's not like they were doing a ton of blitzing. There were some stunts. There were some good things that they did. I thought some delayed blitz even in that second half, which seems to be the weakness of this offensive line. Like, they have no idea if there's a stunt coming around, it takes a second. They're like, should I block somebody? Who do I block? Nobody.
They're having trouble passing things, to pass it off to pick up the looper or the wrapper. They're having trouble passing off, and it's tough. Like, you know what I mean? It's tough. I've never done that. I hadn't had to pass things off. Or I've had to, it depends on, if they're bringing a cross dog with two linebackers. Right. I have to work in tandem with the center of the guard, depending on where they're bringing the pressure. So you've all got to be on the same page. But at the same time, like we're saying, when they do understand or pick up a stunt or a blitz, then at the point of attack, they're physically outmatched. You know what I mean? So that's another part of the protection issues.
Here's my question to you. Is this a timing thing? Is this because if we're being real, if we kind of saw this last season where guys were banged up, guys were injured. Nate Davis didn't play at all in the preseason, didn't play much of training camp either, wasn't a part of that. Coleman Shelton was kind of in and out there with Ryan Bates half the time with that center battle. Ryan Bates kind of ended up becoming the guy that I think they expected to be the right guard. Even in the first game, right? He outsnapped Nate Davis for that game. He was the focal point there. And I don't know if the line got better, but you didn't give up 6 sacks in the second half. So I guess that's a positive plus on that side. But is this just a timing thing that these guys just need the time together? Or do you feel like this goes deeper than that? Because, J Mack, I don't know about you, but we've had Chris Morgan here for now 3 seasons. He was a part of the offensive staff that struggled, now coming into his 3rd season with a new offensive staff. He was one of the holdovers. He actually even got more responsibility on his plate coming into this season. And we've talked about this offensive line being bad every single year of it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think Chris is a really good coach. That's why he's held in high regard. That's why he's still here. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you have who you have, right? If I have guys that understand their responsibility, they're in position to make a block, but then they're physically outmatched at the point of attack. Like, that's, what do you do? That's not just a coach. That goes back to the weight program. That goes back to your offseason training. That goes back to each player individually knowing their deficiencies, right? Braxton Jones always says it, right? He said it since he got here in Chicago, right? I have trouble stopping a bull rush. So in the offseason, you have to train, right, to be able to absorb force and withstand a bull rush. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things. I know everybody's going to place the blame on Chris Morgan, and rightfully so. He's the offensive line coach, but it comes down to each player as an individual doing your job. You know what I mean? Understanding where you fit into protection, understanding at the point of attack, I've got to anchor down. I've got to sit down on that bull rush. You know what I mean? Or whether I got to go get a 45-pound plate and put it on my jock strap before the game, I got to anchor down on that bull rush. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Hey, Coleman, get in the weight room. Get in the weight room. I'm in the locker room. Hey, get in the weight room. Stop walking past it. Get in the weight room. Yeah, you too, Nate. Get in the weight room. I'll meet you in there. Sorry, I'm in the locker room.
So then is this and again, this goes back to Ryan Poles, and I'm sure you've seen my rant. Most people have seen my rant after that abysmal game where to me, it seems like there is just a level of talent that cannot compete at this level in too many spots on the field. And we know on an offensive line what that does, right? Braxton Jones. I like Braxton. I want Braxton to be good. I praised Braxton after the first game. I was like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, they were trying to bull rush him. He was holding up for the most part. He got bull rushed one time. I think he didn't have his feet set the right way, and it was like, okay, now that'll happen in a game. But he had a really good game. Game 2, I'm sorry, you don't get the excuse of, well, that's Will Anderson on the other side, or well, that's Daniil Hunter on the other side. That's not an excuse. It's supposed to be, well, that's Braxton Jones on the other side. And I think that Braxton's good, but that there's a level to his talent that maybe he's peaked out. I don't even know if Coleman Shelton had a level of talent that he's been able to peak at, right? I mean, I've seen him face down, back up too many times on the field. I didn't know that was a position for offensive linemen to be in. I don't know if we on a football field or we at the strip club on a Sunday, but I've got concerns at the center position, my guy. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of all of that, right, like, you've also got Nate Davis, who just hasn't been out there. I think that he's talented, but it doesn't seem like he's giving the same level of effort. And when you have those problems at 3 spots on your offensive line, you're kind of in a no-win situation here where it's not just affecting the passing game, it's affecting the running game. They're getting hit at the point of attack every single time they try to run the football. Is this just a lack of talent issue for the Chicago Bears right now? And is that squarely on Ryan Poles' shoulders?
Yeah, I think when you look at these guys, right, you do have some talent, right? Some talent that you want to develop. Braxton Jones was the guy you drafted, you got late, who's talented, end up earning that starting left tackle spot.
Yes.
Tevin Jenkins, a guy that's talented that, showed times where he was great last year. When healthy. And then, obviously Darnell Wright, he had a great year last year. He started off shaky this year. So there is talent there, and it takes time to develop these guys. Any NFL player, it takes time to develop. But at the same time, it's like, it's just a matter of how you want to build your team. You know what I'm saying? So you look at the way this team has been built, right, on the offensive side of the ball, right? Ryan Poles has built it from the outside in, right? What has he done? We drafted Rome, right? We traded for DJ, obviously a great trade. Not going to question that. You know what I mean? And then DeAndre Swift, you bring in another running back. You know what I'm saying? Gerald Everett, you bring another tight end in here. But you address the offensive line with, you didn't really get a blue chip guy. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of them out there. And if there is one, teams aren't going to let them go because they're now important. Right. But at the same time, for granted, we love Rome. But during the draft, when we did our draft simulation, we wanted them to draft an offensive lineman, right? It's like, do you want Rome or do you want offensive lineman? And at that time, I think on the board, I think Joe Alt was gone, right? Because Harbaugh.
Alt went. So you picked Caleb. Alt went 5 to the Chargers.
Right, and I'll segue back to that Chargers in 1 second. But you look at, I think available at that time was like J.C. Latham. I think he was there.
Olufashanu was out there.
Olufashanu was there at that time.
You know who I wanted? I said, put your Powers Johnson on the table.
Right. It was a couple guys available at 9 that you could have got. And not saying that would have been the savior to the offensive line, but you could have had a top level talented rookie that you could have developed. You know what I'm saying? And it's opportunities like that, but you chose to go with Rome. And I think Rome's going to be great. But at the same time, no matter how open or how creative or how great a route runner is and how good his hands are, if Caleb didn't have time to get that ball to Rome, it's all for nothing. You see what I'm saying? So it's like that. And then you look at the way that, Harbaugh went about this draft, right? Offensive line, he got Joe Walt. And you look at what they're doing on the field. I mean, he's got formation. He's got 8 offensive linemen on the field, and they're just running power football. Like it's it's just the way that, the way that the team was built. You know what I mean? Like, he's building it from the interior out, just like in Michigan. When he recruited from the interior out on both sides of the ball. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is. Ryan Poles, he's chose to go a different route. And, right now, offensively, we're seeing the struggles. We can't run the ball. I think at certain times we've gotten too creative in terms of running the ball. And you can see in the Texans game when we actually just lined up and went 12 personnel and they just ran straight downhill, we were getting yards. But then we go away from it. We get pass happy. We get behind the chains.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. It's going to be tough moving forward if we cannot run the ball. Like you said, teams understand the blueprint. They know they can confuse us on the line. We're running a lot of different stunts and twists by the defensive line, and they know we can't run the ball. So I don't see it getting any better until we actually start, being more physical on the offensive line and really committing to the run game to help, Caleb stay upright.
I said this over on the Windy City Breeze, and I think it's the only option you have. At a certain point, you just have to start making some tough decisions to try and bring something great out of here, because what we saw to Darnell Wright on Sunday is the worst that I've ever seen Darnell Wright look. And maybe that was just a bad game. Maybe it had nothing to do with how anybody else was playing. But I do think that it reminded me of when Nate Davis first came back. And Darnell Wright was kind of like, all right, I'm not used to this dude being over here. Like, I gotta figure this out again. I gotta kind of relearn my steps here. And listen, it doesn't change. That final sack that Darnell Wright allows on Will Anderson, that's just on you. From Will Anderson, that's on, or just that Daniil Hunter off that right side.
Yeah, did the in and out, the little
he just
crossover, the AI.
Hey. I was just sitting there. I was like, you got to try. Like, put your hands out. At least miss.
But you know what? Like, that's like everybody's like, oh, come on, darn it. That's tough, man. I mean, it's tough. That's tough.
That's tough, right? But the NFL's tough, J Mack.
I'm not saying
you're the number 10 overall pick. You're supposed to be able to deal with that tough.
I'm not making an excuse. I'm saying, do your job. Darnell is going to be he's going to be harder on himself than any of us can be on. You know what I mean? Because he understands. Like, he's that type of player. I mean, it was a great move by Daniil.
It was a great move by Daniil, and unfortunately, it led to another sack allowed. Darnell Wright, actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, based on, and taken with a grain of salt, the PFF numbers, he graded out as the 137th out of 146 offensive linemen to play that day. He allowed 2 sacks, 3 hurries, and had a penalty. He had a horrible day. But I say all that to say I do think that some of it is trying to make up for the deficiencies of other things on that line. I would assume, and I haven't played, but I would assume it's very hard to do your job when the guy next to you is struggling to do his on a unit that has to kind of be like a perfect ballet, right? Where everybody's got to be in their spots.
100%.
Do you make a drastic move and make a change on this line to something that we saw last season that was great? And yes, it may hurt you on the left side a little bit. Mm-hmm. But to me, the biggest answer, not being able to run the football, not being able to protect Caleb Williams. We saw greatness last season, running and passing, when Darnell Wright and Tevin Jenkins were next to each other. Would you do something drastic this early in the season with how Caleb Williams has been hit? To say, at least we know we can get the running game going, because they're just going to lay everybody out on the right side.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. Like, then who goes in at left guard? You know what I mean?
Probably Matt Pryor and we know that they have been, doing some cross training with Karan. He said that they were willing to play him at a couple of different positions. They tried to cross train him. Do you put the rookie out there and say, hey, listen, kid, we're already in a sink or swim position. Let's try it now.
You can't. I mean, eventually he's going to have to get out there and get some reps. Dude has not played preseason. Dude has not even really practiced. You know what I mean? And he's practicing now, but it's still a controlled environment. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think, he's going to have to go out there. You know what I mean? You're going to have to ease him.
Is this not the week to do it, too, with no DeForest Buckner over there?
There's still some guys over there.
It's still some dogs on that line.
He's still a rookie that hasn't practiced and hasn't gone through any preseason. So I see it. I get it, putting Tevin at right guard. I think you keep it the same, and you just, coach these guys up, and, they got to get better. They know they got to get better. You know what I mean? And usually it takes more time for an offense to click, right? because there's new guys, like you said, Nate Davis hasn't been in. Communication has to be on point for the offensive line, especially with the amount of things that they're doing, especially with the amount of twists that they're seeing and stunts. They got to be on point. Those guys know they got to be better. I know Coach Morgan is drilling them guys. I know they've gone through every possible look they can see. Now you just got to go out there and execute. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying abandon ship right now. I'm just saying they got to continue to work, and they'll get better, I think, as the season goes on. Now, here's one of my biggest takeaways, right?
My bad.
No, I'm just saying that's just my opinion. I don't think you can make a wholesale change after week 2. I think you have who you have. Now, here's my thoughts too. And some of the things they're doing offensively, for me, it just didn't make sense. I think there was a 3rd and 1 play, and I think it was, I want to say it's the 3rd quarter, the 2nd quarter's 3rd and 1. And I don't know what they were doing. Like, I don't know. It was like it looked like they were running the read zone to DeAndre Swift, but then Caleb pulled it like he was going to throw it to DJ Moore on a slant. I was confused. Like, I'm still confused. Like, I watched it play a couple times. It's 3rd and 1, right? Now, here's my thoughts. If I have an offensive line that's struggling in pass protection the whole entire game, on 3rd and 1, right, let's get our big guys in there. Let's go 12 personnel. Okay, you don't have a fullback. See, my dog even agrees. He's barking.
That dog doing in the locker room.
You heard him? He was like, you heard him. You don't have Kari Velasquez, right? He's not in, right? So if you're gonna go 12 personnel, that's fine. Put Gerald Everett's big ass at fullback, like the Houston Texans were doing with Stover. They put him at fullback. Run downhill. Let's get that 1 yard. Let's don't overcomplicate it. Like, there's too much going on. I got a read zone. Then he's gonna pull up and hit DJ Moore on a slant. There's too much that can go wrong when trying to get 1 yard. Line up, get that 1 yard. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where my frustration is. And then when I have an offensive line that's struggling in pass protection, let's give them the opportunity to just line up and come off the ball.
But the fear there is, right, J Mack, there was a couple of times where they did just line up, right, where they tried to QB sneak the ball, and you're just not getting any push at all.
The guys ain't getting low enough. They're not getting low enough. And then there's times where it's third and short where they start running east and west. And you got a defense that's fast, that has speed, linebackers that can run and hit. You got defensive ends that do a good job of containing and stringing out the play. You know what I mean? Like, I just, my thing is like this, right? To stop a good pass rusher, or a team that has 2 good pass rushers, or to stop a pass rushing team in general, run right at their ass. Like, run at them, slow them down. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know. I just want to see more balance. And I know we were down, but I just
you weren't down enough to abandon the run game.
That's what I'm saying. And I said that during the game on the call. Me and Tom Thayer were talking about on the call on Sunday, and I was like, please don't abandon the run. Like, you still, and because it's going to open up everything, right? And it also enables your quarterback not to get hit, take all them hits and stuff like that, especially, a good pass rusher team like the Texans, like, run right at them. And, my thing is, what was your plan offensively? Like, first and second down, like, what was your plan on first and second down? Like, to me, it's like, okay, I have an offense that's struggling. Our goal on first and second down, let's get 6 yards, let's get 7 yards. So we're in 3rd and manageable, and that way our whole playbook is open. You know what I mean? Now we can run past as an easier convertible down. Like, I just don't, when you sit there on first down, you drop back, incomplete, now it's 2nd and 10. And then we're our worst enemy. I mean, you get up there, first down, boop, false start. You know what I'm saying? How many times do we start that way? We just got to get out of the way of our own shadow.
It also seemed like to me, and maybe this is, listen, I'm not even surprised by what we're seeing out of Shane Waldron as far as the balance of pass to run. I remember, I said that and everybody was like, no, Pat, but he's a rookie quarterback, so they got to run the ball to make his life easy. That's what they're going to do. Shane Waldron understands that. He knows how to develop a quarterback. I was like, bro, this dude don't run the football, bro. He going to put that ball in the air. Caleb's throw. He didn't draft Caleb Williams to not let him let this thing fly. No, Pat, that's what they do with rookie quarterbacks. You give him the time. Let him figure it out. Well, he ain't figuring it out. And you're putting a lot on this kid's shoulders. And I think the thing for me with running the ball that gives me the most concern right now is not only are you abandoning the run, but do you feel like Shane Waldron is using these running backs to the best of their abilities? Like, to me, I don't know if I missed the week that it happened, but when did DeAndre Swift become a power back that we just wanted to rush directly up the middle? And I understand, right? Like you got Daniil Hunter and you got Will Anderson on the outside, and those are two dudes that set a great edge and really can make things difficult for you running to the outside. But you pay $8 million for a dude, he better get to the outside. That's his job. That's what he's supposed to be able to do. And I understand the one thing where maybe I'm giving Swift a little more time. Swift had no preseason. They played him that one play. He got 40 yards, and then it was just like, well, that was the end of that. We saw we needed to see sit this dude down. But, like, you brought in an $8 million running back basically to be a little bit better Khalil Herbert, and now you don't want to utilize him to his strengths that are getting to the outside, getting uphill, even with some of those short passes, right, the screen passes. But why are we throwing screen passes to Gerald Everett with DeAndre Swift blocking on them? Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what's going on there.
Bro, I can't even. I don't know. There was one screen pass, and they were in bunch. So it's Everett at the point, Cole's on the inside of the bunch, and then Rome Odunze is on the outside of the bunch. And they throw the quick screen. I think it was DeAndre Swift, bro. And nobody blocked Jalen Petrie, bro.
Nope.
And I'm laughing because it hurts. It hurts me, Bears fan. It hurts me. I got to laugh to stop from crying, I promise you. And nobody blocks Jalen Petrie. All three of them guys, and I don't know what their assignments is. I don't know if Rome's supposed to go to the corner. Gerald Everett's supposed to take Jalen Petrie, who's covering him on the point. And I think Cole Kmet was supposed to go inside to block the linebacker. But they all let Jalen Petrie come free. And he shot out of like a cannon and destroyed DeAndre Swift. I'm like,
yeah.
It's stuff like that. You know what I mean?
And it feels like they're not on the same page, J Mack.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you look at this offense, right? It's okay. Jalen Petrie makes that play because he makes a play. Okay, I get it, but it's on the offense. I'm saying us. I ain't on that offense, but it's on them, right? Because they made who's blocking Petrie. He's on the point. He's on Gerald Everett. It's not nothing they did. It's something that the offense did. That they didn't. The details. What is the details or the coaching points of that play? You know what I mean? And then you look at it again, they come back, they ran it. I think before that, they ran it with Swift, where they got the ball out to him on a swing pass, which I like, get speed out in space. And they got 15 yards on it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like the ebbs and flows of the details of each play. We execute it, then we have a bust. We have a MA.
Yeah.
Missed assignment on somebody, stuff like that. But I agree, I'm not saying Swift's a guy that you can run the ball in between the tackles 20 times a game. He's not that type of back. I think he is a dynamic back in which you got to get him out there out there in space. You got to get him matched up on a linebacker, to create mismatches. And when you look at one of the first things, the first or second play of the game, right? The Texans go empty. They motion Joe Mixon out. They know it's man coverage because TJ Edwards motions out with Joe Mixon. So now they got the mismatch they want, right? And we know as great as a linebacker that TJ Edwards is, we know he struggles in one-on-one coverage. We saw that last year when we played Green Bay and Aaron Jones ran that angle route on TJ Edwards, right? So now they got Joe Mixon on TJ Edwards. He runs that option route. Boom. They get a big chunk play right there. We need some of that stuff, right, with DeAndre Swift, right? But also, yes, it's empty, right? It's a five-man protection. They're going to bring pressure, but it gives Caleb an opportunity to get that ball out quick to a mismatch in which DeAndre Swift's on a linebacker. Like 90% of the time, I'm going to take DeAndre Swift over the linebacker in this league. Trying to find ways. Like that's an extension of a run game. That's an extended handoff to where, okay, I know we're struggling to run the ball in the end, struggling to run the ball, period. Let me get the ball out in space, a high percentage throw, easy throw. Let me read the option route. DeAndre, here comes the ball back. I don't know. It's just things I look at, watching this thing.
I mean, listen, at this point, we're all searching for answers, and I think you're somebody who's been a part of offenses that have had struggles. The difference is you always have five dudes up front that were going to be about that action. That we're going to say, hey, listen, we absolutely can run the football. You're not going to sit here and stop us from running the ball. And I think the thing is too, right, even with that, and it's why, I talked about the drastic measure of moving Tevin over to right guard, because you guys had guys where it was like, we're going to run the football and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And we faced a lot more heavier boxes than what they saw. We were facing,
you know what I mean? Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright are two guys that are going to go forward no matter what anybody does. And the problem is, I think, and you've mentioned it a couple of times, this offensive line continues to lose the point of attack. I can't even count the amount of plays on Sunday where they were just getting killed off of their spots.
Yeah, it's the one-on-one battles, right? Win the one-on-one matchups, right? And it's when we see them do pick up a stun or execute, right? Or I'm saying execute in terms of understanding who they have in protection, right? At the point of attack, what happens? They're out physical, right? You see Coleman Shelton pick up his man, but then you see him get bull rushed into the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like every play, like he doesn't know who he's blocking. Oh, what is he doing, right? Most like they're getting outmatched. They're getting out physical at the point of attack. So it's a lot of things, man. Like I don't want to sit here and say it's just the offensive line. It's a lot of things.
I think play calling plays a part into it. I said
play calling. Caleb's got to play better too. I mean,
there's a couple throws Caleb can't make. Yeah,
one of DeAndre Carter, I think, on a corner route. Caleb had time just to drop. You got to drop it in the bucket. You know what I mean? And he overthrew him. Like it's a lot. It's a lot right now that they got to clean up offensively.
I think too, though, right? Like you're putting Caleb Williams in a mindset that he's coming from. And except he doesn't realize that the defense that he has is a defense that will keep you in this game if you literally just don't screw up. Like on every pick that he threw, if we just go down there and kick field goals, we're good. And it seems like CJ Stroud understands that because he's like, Joe Mixon ain't running the football today. They got to shut down there. I can get it to Nico.
He had no choice to understand it because that defense was dictating everything. I mean, especially like, you know, we saw the same thing defensively the past 2 weeks, right? You see a defense that, okay, they gave up a little bit the first half, right? And then you see a defense that goes in, makes the halftime adjustments, and then boom, what happens? You get nothing. You have a defense that allowed one touchdown to that Texans offense that features Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins. I mean,
and Stephon Diggs did nothing.
Nothing. You gave up one touchdown, and how many field goals? Was it 4 field goals?
How that math work? Had to be 5, right? How's that math work? Let's see. I got the stats right here. Kaimi Fairbairn. What does this say?
They scored 19 points.
So 4.
4 field goals, right? They gave up three of 50 or more yards. I mean, the defense. You're 2-0. Defense.
When he hit 50-yarders like that, you just got to be like,
all right, bro. Like the defense, you're 2-0, guys. Congratulations, defense. But you know, I understand it's a team game, and even you know, looking at Coach Luce's press conference yesterday, right? He said he felt like we did a good job of playing complementary football, meaning, right, each phase complements each other. Last week we saw the special teams complement the offense by giving them, you know, good field position. They came away with it. They got the block punt and they scored. Defense gave the offense favorable, you know, starting positions as well. Same thing we saw last week. Defense, they did their thing. They gave the offense more opportunities, more possessions. We just didn't execute with those possessions. Like that's complementary football. But offensively, when we get those compliments from our defense, when they're holding or shutting down an offense, we got to put points on the board. You know what I mean? Yeah. We got to get some drive, even if it's field goals. Like we got to put something on the board.
And you can't turn the football over. That's the difference in week 1 and week 2 to me. I mean, and here's the thing at the end of the day for me with Caleb, right? I think that you're putting Caleb in a tough position when you drop him back as much as you have been. I think that you're putting Caleb in you're basically, without telling him, you're telling him, hey, this is on your shoulders. Yep. You go out there and win the game. And guess what he's going to try to do? That pass to Cole Kmet said everything I needed to know. That's a pass where in his mind he's going, all right, I got to make a play. We're down here. We can get it. That's the Superman throw. I'm Superman. Let's go do it. The problem is on that play, it wasn't Superman enough of a throw. And there's some other Superman out there. Like that's you underthrow that one. You got to throw a perfect ball to Cole on that. I think that you can get it in there. Cole had a space to catch it, but it's got to be perfect. And on that play as well, you got Rome Odunze just short of the sticks underneath. It's 2nd and 15, not 3rd and 15. You got that 3rd down play. You can live to fight another day there and keep things moving. Like those to me are the things that a rookie quarterback is going to have to go through and is going to have to figure out. But your offensive coordinator, who has had quarterbacks that he has developed and has brought back in Geno Smith and guys like that, has to go, hey, we know this guy wants to be Superman. Maybe we take it out of his hands a little bit.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think when I got to look at the stats from last week, but I got the stats right here in front of me, right? So Caleb Williams, right, 37 attempts. So I got to look at what's my winning formula, right? My winning formula, if I look at the attempts from last week and this week, right? This week, 37 pass attempts. We know that's not a winning formula. We don't want a rookie quarterback dropping back 37 times, especially against a team that features a great pass rush like the Houston Texans. That couldn't be the winning formula when you win. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's not like you were down by like 3 touchdowns. You see what I'm saying? And I get it. Okay. DeAndre Swift, 14 attempts, right? He averaged 1.3 yards a carry. Like,
yeah, that's horrible.
That's not good enough. And it's collectively, as an offense, we have to find a way to run the ball better, because our winning formula cannot be relying on our quarterback dropping back 30 plus times each and every game. And we're gonna have a good offense. You're not. We're gonna see the same results each and every week if Caleb's dropping back and throwing the ball 30 plus times. You have to find a way to run the ball.
I think you can win that way, but you just gotta balance it a little bit with the run, right? I've seen, unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers win throwing 30 times. I've seen in cold weather, 100%. But I'm saying in cold weather cities, right? I've seen Pat Mahomes do that. I've seen, and I think that's kind of how they want to build this, right? Ryan Poles wants to build it out like the Chiefs. But
yeah, I agree with you.
Even last week, though, right? C.J. Stroud threw it 36 times. But what else happened last week that made C.J. Stroud able to throw it 36 times?
They didn't
Joe
run the
Mixon
ball.
rushed it 30 times.
Yeah, last week. They didn't run the ball well. But here's the thing, right? You mentioned those guys. You mentioned Aaron. You mentioned Pat, right? 2 guys who they didn't get out their rookie year and do that, right? They got sick. Pat had to sit behind Alex Smith. A-Rod had to sit behind Brett Favre. Now, C.J. Stroud is the anomaly, right? Because he was doing this last year. But how many quarterbacks have we seen come in the league and do that? Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. You know what I mean? Not a lot. So my argument is this, like, you don't want your rookie. I just don't see that being the formula of having your rookie throw the ball 30 plus times a game offensively and say that's our winning formula. We're going to rely on the arm of Caleb Williams, who's a rookie, who's supposed to change the tide of a franchise. We're going to put everything on his arm and expect him to win every game. We're going to go into the Houston Texans game. They have a great pass rush, 2 bookends, and we expect him to beat the Houston Texans throwing the ball 30 plus times. And we're going to be dog crap running the ball. You ain't going to win, man. And you had a defense that gave you every opportunity to be in this game. You still had a chance at the end of the game to still win it because you have a great defense.
Yeah.
Like, what is your
100%.
winning formula? Like, what is your winning formula? Like, I don't know, but you got a great defense. So, what's your formula? Is it play great defense, throw the ball all over the yard and hope we get lucky and win? Or is it play great defense, run the ball effectively? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. They got to figure that out.
Yeah, no, 100%. And listen, the thing that keeps coming back to is, the guys up front got to win. We got to win at the point of attack. And I've given credit to Ryan Poles on everything that he has built with this team. I think that he has put together a great collection of talent.
Mm-hmm.
But you have absolutely overlooked what every other team views as the most important position. And it's not that he couldn't address it. Because I keep getting that too. And listen, I'm glad we got Rome Odunze here. I think he's going to be a heck of a player. Yeah. But you could have drafted more offensive linemen in this draft. In a draft where you knew, hey, we just lost our starting center and our starting guard because we didn't think that they were very good. So we're letting them go. And you basically just said Nate Davis is the guy that's going to fill in and fix that problem when you knew that Nate Davis was a problem last season. The ignoring of the offensive line, I do think, is a sin. And I'll tell you this right now. If Caleb Williams gets killed this year, which he's 2 games in, he's already 10 or 9 sacks into the season. He's been, like I said, he's been hit so many times this year, even on plays where the ball is getting out, he's still getting hit because that's how quickly those guys are getting to him.
Yeah.
If Caleb Williams doesn't develop all that goodwill, all that excitement, all these things that you've added, this defense you're building, we love it. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. You just did exactly what every other Bears GM for the last 15 years has done.
Yeah.
Because you didn't protect Jay on the left side. You didn't protect Mitch at all. You literally were like, we need protection up front. Allen Robinson. I like A-Rod. That's cool. Like, let's get it in here.
I'm not laughing at you, A-Rod. I'm just laughing at how you just he made you an offensive lineman.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what happened. Like, and then on the with Justin, right? It was like, okay, well, let's just throw him out there. He'll figure it out. He's got the legs. We don't need the O-line. We don't need to address it. They go get Darnell Wright. All right, we addressed it. It's like, no, you need to address it at all spots on this line, and you're doing the same thing with Caleb Williams here. It's not a. I would be fine with it if you swung and missed. But you're just watching pitches go by.
Yeah. My fear, Pat, is, and it's in being in the locker room after the game, sitting next to Caleb Williams in the locker room, getting ready to interview him. I see a young guy who's sitting there, who's visibly frustrated. He's mad, he's upset. I think, and I don't want to put it out there, but just from my observation, I think he's upset with himself. He's upset with the overall performance of the offense. He was upset. He was mad. I can tell he's frustrated. He's just sitting there. He's just sitting there with his hands. He's just like this, and he's just sitting there, taking it all in. You know what I mean? And it's tough. And my biggest fear is I don't want a young guy that has a lot of talent, that has a lot of ability, to regress. That's gun shy in the pocket. And a guy that's got hit that many times, right? Will he still be, will he still have the courage to still sit in the pocket when you do have a clean pocket and make a throw downfield, right? Or is he just going to be, after getting hit, you have a clean pocket, and you're so used to getting hit, is he going to bail on that clean pocket and try to make a throw off platform when he doesn't need to? That's my biggest fear with a young quarterback that's getting hit like this.
Yeah, and they have to find a way to balance it, J Mack. Here's my thing. I don't want you to coach out the Caleb Williams Superman throws.
Exactly.
That's why we drafted Caleb Williams. I don't want you to coach that out. That throw to Cole Kmet, I don't want you to go, hey, that's a throw we never want to see you make again. No, I do want to see him make that, because that's the throws that A-Rod used to make. That's the throws that Pat Mahomes makes. That's the throws that the top dudes are doing in this NFL. CJ Stroud makes those throws. And yes, is it a tough throw? Is it a difficult throw? Yeah, but you want him to have the confidence to do that because he has the talent to do that. He just has to get used to the NFL game and get used to NFL speed. And over the next 3 weeks, there's an opportunity for him to do that. But what you don't want is that's the only thing that he has left. And I feel like that's the situation Justin Fields was in. That's the situation we put Mitch in. I think Mitch had a lack of talent, but I do think that there was, you knew, okay, if we move this guy around, he can find an open guy and make some things happen for you.
Yeah.
But Matt Nagy was like, never move. Stay in the pocket. Yeah. Stay in the pocket. It's like he finna lose his head. You want him to stay in the pocket?
Yeah, and with Justin, and I'm not saying, we should have kept Justin. I'm not saying that.
I'm glad Caleb's here.
Yeah, me too. I'm just saying, like, with Justin, I think, a lot of the deficiencies in the offensive line that we saw, a lot of the stunts and stuff when they were missed, we saw Justin, make a guy miss, break a tackle, and take it 80 yards for a touchdown. You know what I mean? He was able to mask some of those deficiencies where, Caleb will scramble, get some yards. He's not going to take it 80, but Caleb will scramble, make a guy miss and deliver the ball off platform. But, at the same time, it's like offensively, you got to get better. You got to find a way. And you got to look at, okay, as an offensive coordinator and Shane Waldron, I've got to look at my personnel, which he should have. I mean, I'm sure he's done it already, but you got to go back and really self-scout these last 2 weeks and say, where do we suck at? And be honest with yourself. Where do we suck at? Where can I get better as a play caller? How can we get better in the run game? How can we get better in protection? What are the issues? Are we just not picking things up because we don't understand the protection? Are we picking it up? We're getting out physical. Am I calling enough runs? You know what I mean? It's all of those things that they're over there in Hallis Hall right now trying to find answers to. Because here's the thing. It sucks being a part of a phase that you're not holding up your job. And like I said before, I'm not going to sit there and act like we had a high-powered offense. We had a really good running offense. We were able to make explosive plays in the passing game. But there were times and we had performances where, you come off the sideline after another 3 and out, and the defense is looking at us because they can't even get a cup of Gatorade. And they're looking at me, and I'm running off trying not to look at them. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's embarrassing, man. And I've been a part of offenses like that. I'm not going to sit and act like I haven't. I've been a part of performances, like we saw on Sunday. And it's tough when you have a defense that's doing their job. You have your teammates that's laying it on the line for you. You have your teammates that's getting the takeaways, putting you in favorable field position, and you're not holding up your end of the bargain. So these are all the things that those guys over there at Howard, the guys in this locker room that I'm in right now, we're having conversations about, right, Coleman?
Yeah. Get it together, Coleman. If you can hear me, hey, get in that weight room.
But I mean, it's tough, man. But I'm not gonna say abandon ship, and I don't know what changes they're gonna make. But they've got to get each player, man for man, and they know this, has to get better as an individual if you want to have team success, if you want to have an offensive success. So,
yeah.
We'll see, man.
We will see. It's going to be interesting to see how the Bears address this heading into week 3. I do think that they have some wins on the schedule that they should be able to get. I mean, you got Colts, Rams, Panthers as your next 3. We could be sitting here talking about this like it's a blip with those 3 teams because of how good this defense is. And we'll be sitting there going, yeah, I mean, listen, it was a struggle in week 2, but we're 4-1. Like, I really do believe that I understand the offense and all of that is struggling, but like the Rams literally just lost everybody. The Colts lost their best defensive weapon that they have, and the Panthers are the Panthers.
I mean, here's the thing.
I ain't scared of Andy Dalton. I'm sorry. Maybe that's just me. I'm not scared of it. Andy Dalton and Adam Thielen marching down the field on this defense.
Pat, when we did our show before the season, and we went through the schedule, and I remember, if I remember correctly, right, I think we had them at 4-1 to start, right? Am I right? We said beat the Titans.
I said beat the Titans. I said they lose to. Well, I think I had them 3-2, but the Rams
to the Texans.
I had to lose to the Texans and the Rams, but the Rams have lost half of their team. So now I feel like I'm on 4-1 because also I don't know if you noticed this, J Mack, but teams ain't scared to run up the middle when Aaron Donald ain't standing.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron, man. Yeah, he's a beast. Speaking of that, let's give credit to. I want to give credit to Andrew Billings too, man.
Oh my goodness, awesome. Yes.
Like, I mean, there was a play. What play was it? I want to say they ran a jet sweep with Joe Mixon, right? So they ran a shift. They ran like a double shift. So the tight ends traded over, and then when the tight ends traded over, Joe Mixon shifted. They put Nico Collins in the backfield. Joe Mixon went over to the wing. They ran a jet sweep with Joe Mixon, and Billings chased that bad boy down. He was moving, bro. Like, I mean, Billings is like, I think he's my favorite player on the team right now, man, because dude gives all out effort, bro.
I'm with you.
I love that dude, man. I really do, man. I really do.
You know what I love about him too?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Andrew Billings has been in the league for what now? 5 years? How long Andrew Billings might be more than that, actually. Let's see. Andrew Billings, because I know he came in, if I'm not mistaken, with the
Raiders?
Bengals.
Was it the Bengals? Wasn't it with the Raiders when we got
He had a year with the Raiders, so he's been in the league since 2017. So 7 years. He got a 7-year career right now. You usually 7 years into your career don't start adding things to your game. Like, you're always trying to add something, but like everybody says that, and you rarely see 7 years. He's a different player. He was not a pass rusher. He is legitimately a pass rusher. Yeah. 7 years in, he's putting spin moves on us. I was like, what was that? And
if you see it too, it's interesting, right? Because we talk about just Javon Dexter and Pickens playing the 3 technique, but the way our defense shifts and moves, right? When they shift and move, a lot of times in this Texans game, you saw Billings, playing that 3 technique when they shifted. You know what I mean? And him having the ability, we know how good he is as a run stopper, but now having the ability to dent the middle of that pocket with a pass rush is something that, Coach Eberflus is like, man, this is awesome. And it's
unexpected gem.
Yeah, and it's exciting, to see a defensive coordinator, head coach, like Coach Flus, have so many pieces on the defense, and it just keeps getting better. I mean, guys are playing. You look at Kyler Gordon, he's freaking playing, man. He's playing. It's awesome, man. TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds, they are playing, man. They're playing for one another. They're playing together. The first play of the game, you got Jack Sanborn out there. What happened? He tips a pass that was going to Nico Collins, was going to be for a big game because Nico was open. You know, I mean, everybody's making plays on this defense. It's great to see. And if we can get this offense moving, we'll be in good shape.
100%. And you know what I give credit to? And moving can be, we understand, moving can be like, if we get up to like 75 yards rushing and a touchdown there and like 200 yards passing and a touchdown, like that could be moving for this defense. We know that, right? Like,
oh my goodness, yeah.
And we be sitting there coming out of games going, oh, we killing them out here. They can't stop us.
Flexing everywhere I go with the
Bears. Be like, y'all went 22 yards and kicked the field goal. Shut up. We didn't ask you nothing.
Right, I'd be everywhere. Bear down.
You know what? You know where I give the credit to, especially defensively, is the mentality of this team. And me and you questioned a lot of the mentality last year with Flus and his hits principle, and the team just didn't seem to exude that. When you're getting cooked all day, and let me tell you something. I thought maybe just watching the game, if I watched the all 22, I wouldn't see Tyreek Stevenson get cooked as much as he did. No, he was getting cooked for a good chunk of that day by Nico Collins. But it didn't mentally take him out of the game. I've seen dudes where you getting cooked and it's like, I can't stop him. It's nothing I can do. But that wasn't what Reek was doing. In fact, Reek makes one of the biggest plays of the game, blowing up the tight end on a very, what would have been an easy completion underneath, blows him up at the point of contact. I mean, like timing perfect to avoid a PI. And now the Bears get the ball back with an opportunity to go down. I believe we got the field goal on that one to give us the 13 points. But like things like that where you're not having a good day, but you're still engaged. You're still trying to make plays. You're still going out there doing your job to the best of your ability. Those are the things that I see. And when I see that make me think this might be a special defense, not just a good defense, but a special defense. One of those ones we talk about, like 2018. Of course, I don't know about 06. That's high praise. Get the 2018 first, then we get you 06. Well, you got to work your way up.
I think it's a real confident defense because it's led by a confident head coach / defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like we've seen 2 games now where Coach Flus has made halftime adjustments and completely shut down an offense. I mean, you shut down a potent offense. Like we talked about all our weapons they have. You got an ascending quarterback who's a bona fide star in this league, and you just, like I said, they only scored 1 touchdown at home on Sunday night. Like it's awesome, man. And it was good to see. I think, moving forward too, we going back to the offense, we talk about the offense. The thing that I'm interested to see is, where are they at mentally? You got a young offense who just had a tough game. Everybody's talking about him here in Chicagoland. Now you're going to Indy. I'm interested to see where they're at, like where their confidence is. You know what I mean? That's going to be a tell of what type of men you have on that offense and how they come out, on Sunday versus the Colts. You know what I mean? They're coming out with emphasis. Are they coming out with fire, passion, aggressiveness? Or is it the same thing that we saw? Guys getting bowled over. Lack of execution, lack of details, false start penalty, pre-snap penalty, start behind the chains. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I'm interested to see, where this offense is going to go. Because it can only go 2 ways. You're going to get better, you're going to get worse. And
it's not much below you for worse.
Huh?
I said there's not much down here for worse.
You're going to get worse, you're going to get better, you're going to get buried. Put it that way.
Hey, man, let's hope that we end up getting this dub versus the Indianapolis Colts. Let's hope we see an offensive day that looks a heck of a lot better. Make sure y'all stay tapped in with J Mack, because he's always on the sideline covering things over on ESPN 1000 and here over on the Chicago Bears podcast. We'll be back tomorrow. Me and Courtney Cronin up at Hallis reacting to more of this Chicago Bears team as we head into this Colts game, heading down to Indy. And a special this happened during the show. I don't know if y'all saw me early in the show, like my eyes got real wide. Uh-oh. A special shout out to Adrian Wojnarowski as he leaves ESPN, the man who has been breaking basketball news at least, probably 70% of my entire life, to take a job for $20 million to become the GM of St. Bonaventure men's basketball.
Dang.
Shout out to Adrian Wojnarowski. First off,
baby.
getting the bag.
Get that bag.
Get that bag, my boy.
Santa Claus.
And man, it's the Sham show now. It's just Shams. That's all we got left NBA wise. Hey, he dominating.
Get that bag, Adrian. That Santa Claus goodie bag, Christmas bag, Halloween bag, Louis Vuitton bag.
Louis bag. Let me get the Louis bag.
Money bag.
He in his bag on that one. That's crazy. $20 million. Dang.
Goodbye.
Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love.
Bear down.
Peace.